restaurant manager grabbed Victoria's wheelchair and started pushing her toward the exit. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're disturbing our guests." Victoria Ashford clutched her crying baby tighter against her chest. Every person in the restaurant was staring. Her face burned with humiliation. That was when a man's voice cut through the silence like thunder. "Take your hands off her wheelchair. Right now." Nathan Cole had come here expecting another awkward blind date. He never expected to fall in love in the next 30 seconds. Nathan Cole sat alone at table 12 in the fanciest steakhouse in Austin, Texas, checking his watch for the 5th time. 7:45 on a Saturday night. His blind date was 15 minutes late. He pulled out his phone and started typing a text to his son. "Lucas, I tried. She's not coming. Can I come home now?" His thumb hovered over the send button. 3 years. 3 years since cancer took his wife, Mia. 3 years of grief so thick he sometimes forgot what breathing without pain felt like. 3 years of his 10-year-old son watching him fade away piece by piece until last week when Lucas had finally had enough. "Dad," Lucas had said, standing in front of him with his arms crossed and Mia's stubborn expression on his face. "Mom would be really mad at you right now." Nathan had looked up from his computer. "What? You promised her at the hospital. I heard you. You promised you'd keep living. You promised you'd be happy again." "You're breaking your promise, Dad." And then Lucas had handed him a piece of paper with a name and phone number. "Victoria Ashford. Saturday, 7:30. Don't mess this up." "Where did you get this?" Nathan had asked. "Aunt Rebecca set it up. I made her." "Lucas, I can't just—" "You can. You will. I already told her yes for you." So here he was, 42 years old, widower, owner of a landscaping company, sitting in the restaurant where he was supposed to celebrate his 10th anniversary with Mia, waiting for a stranger and feeling like the world's biggest fraud. His phone buzzed. Rebecca's text. "Her name is Victoria. She's incredible. CEO of her own tech company. Also, don't freak out, but she uses a wheelchair. Car accident 5 years ago. She's nervous you'll bail when you see it. Please don't be that guy, Nathan." Nathan stared at the message. A wheelchair. He thought about Mia at the end, the hospital bed, the machines, the way she'd squeezed his hand and said, "Promise me you won't turn into one of those sad widowers who forgets how to live." He typed back, "I'm not that guy, Rebecca. I know. That's why I picked her for you." The restaurant hummed with conversation and clinking glasses. Nathan straightened his tie, the one Lucas had picked out this morning, saying it made him look less like a sad potato, and waited. 8 o'clock. Still no Victoria. The waiter came by again. "Sir, would you like to order while you wait?" "Just water, thanks." Nathan's jaw tightened. She wasn't coming. Nobody was coming. This was stupid. He was stupid for hoping. The front door opened, and everything stopped. Victoria Ashford wheeled through the entrance with her heart hammering against her ribs and her 14-month-old daughter Sophie strapped to her chest in a carrier. She was 32 years old, CEO of a tech startup she'd built from nothing, worth more money than most people would see in a lifetime. And right now, she wanted to disappear into the floor. Every head in the restaurant turned toward her. She knew what they saw. A woman in a wheelchair, expensive dress, sleeping baby, arriving alone to an upscale steakhouse where children didn't exist and wheelchairs were an inconvenience. The hostess's smile flickered. "Ma'am, do you have a reservation?" Ashford. "Victoria Ashford. Table for 2. 7:30. You're quite late. My babysitter canceled. Last-minute emergency." "I see." Victoria felt her cheeks burn. She knew what that "I see" meant. She'd heard it 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways. "I see you couldn't find someone to take care of your child. I see you thought it was appropriate to bring a baby here. I see you're going to be a problem." "Is my date still here?" Victoria asked, keeping her voice steady through sheer force of will. "Tall man? Probably looks uncomfortable? The hostess checked her list. Mr. Cole is at table 12. Right this way. Victoria wheeled past tables of couples and business dinners and anniversary celebrations. She felt their eyes tracking her movement, heard the whispers. Is that a baby? Who brings a baby to a place like this? She kept her chin up. She'd learned that trick years ago. Look confident, even when you're dying inside. Especially when you're dying inside. Table 12 came into view and Victoria's breath caught. The man sitting there was watching her approach with an expression she couldn't read. Early 40s, dark hair with silver at the temples, green eyes that looked tired and kind at the same time. Handsome in that worn, weathered way that came from years of working outdoors. He didn't look away when he saw the wheelchair. He didn't flinch when he saw the baby. He just stood up. He stood up for her, Victoria. His voice was warm, deeper than she'd expected. Nathan. She stopped at the edge of the table, suddenly aware of how ridiculous she must look. I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm so sorry I brought. She gestured at Sophie, still sleeping against her chest. My sitter had an emergency. Her mother fell. I couldn't cancel because I've already canceled 3 times, and I thought maybe she'd sleep through it. And I know this is insane. I know I look insane, and you can absolutely leave right now. I would leave right now if I were you. I would run. I would. Hey. Nathan held up a hand. Breathe. Victoria stopped talking. Nathan looked at the baby, looked at her. A small smile crossed his face. She's cute. What's her name? Victoria blinked. What? The baby. Does she have a name, or do you just call her the reason I'm late? A startled laugh escaped her. Sophie. Her name is Sophie. Sophie. Nathan nodded. Good name. Strong. My son's going to be jealous he didn't get a strong name like Sophie. He's stuck with Lucas. Lucas is a great name. Tell him that. He wanted to be named Thunder when he was 6. Victoria felt something loosen in her chest. This wasn't what she'd expected. He wasn't what she'd expected. Nathan pulled out the chair across from him, then paused. Wait, that's dumb. You don't need. He pushed a chair aside instead, creating space for her wheelchair at the table. There. Better. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to. Victoria wheeled into place, positioning herself so Sophie was slightly shielded from the rest of the restaurant. Nathan sat back down, and for a moment they just looked at each other. So, Nathan said, blind dates are weird, the worst. My assistant made me come tonight. She said I was becoming a hermit and scaring the interns. Nathan laughed. A real laugh, not the polite kind people used when they were uncomfortable. How long have you been a hermit? Since Sophie was born. So, 14 months. I've got you beat. 3 years. Victoria tilted her head. Rebecca mentioned, I'm sorry about your wife. Nathan's expression shifted, softened, hurt. Mia, cancer. She fought like hell for 2 years. But he shook his head. You know what? Let's not start with the sad stuff. Tell me something else. Tell me something good. Something good? Yeah. Something that made you happy today. Anything. Victoria thought about it. Her day had been a disaster. The hostile takeover attempt on her company. The board meeting where 3 men had talked over her for an hour straight. The babysitter canceling. The moment she'd almost turned around in the parking lot and gone home. But then she thought about earlier. Much earlier. This morning, she said. Sophie said her first word. Not mama. Not dada. She looked right at me, very serious, and said no. Nathan grinned. A woman who knows what she wants. She's been saying it all day. I asked if she wanted breakfast. No. I asked if she wanted her teddy bear. No. I asked if she loved me. No. Sounds like a future CEO. She gets it from me, I believe that. They were both smiling now, really smiling. and Victoria realized with a start that she couldn't remember the last time she'd smiled like this with someone who wasn't Sophie. Nathan opened his menu. "So, what's good here? I've never actually eaten here, even though I've been sitting in this exact chair for 45 minutes. Victoria started to answer, and then the restaurant manager appeared at their table. His name tag read Gregory Whitman, General Manager. He was mid-50s, silver-haired with a kind of pinched expression that suggested the world was constantly disappointing him. "I'm sorry," he said, not sounding sorry at all, "but we've received complaints." Victoria's stomach dropped. "Complaints?" Nathan asked. About the Gregory gestured vaguely at Sophie. "The child." "She's sleeping," Victoria said quietly. "Be that as it may, this establishment maintains a certain standard. We are not a family restaurant. Other guests are concerned about potential disruptions." Nathan's eyes narrowed. "Potential disruptions?" She hasn't made a sound. "Sir, I'm speaking to the lady." "The lady has a name." "I'm sure she does." Gregory turned back to Victoria with a thin smile. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to finish your evening elsewhere. We'll comp whatever you've ordered so far." Victoria felt the familiar burn of humiliation climbing her neck. This had happened before. It would happen again. Every time she tried to exist in spaces that weren't designed for people like her, disabled, single mother, refusing to hide, someone was there to remind her that she didn't belong. She started to reach for her wheels. "Just leave. Don't make a scene. Don't give them the satisfaction." But Nathan's voice cut through her thoughts. "No." Gregory blinked. "I'm sorry?" "She's not leaving." Nathan stood up, all 6 feet 2 inches of him. "We have a reservation. We haven't ordered yet. And last I checked, there's no law against bringing a sleeping infant to dinner." "Sir, this isn't about legality, you're right. It's about you being uncomfortable, and that's a you problem. I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice. Then stop giving me reasons to raise it." Victoria watched this man, this stranger she'd met 5 minutes ago, standing up for her, fighting for her when Sophie's father hadn't even bothered to stick around for the birth, when her own parents had suggested she reconsider her options after the accident because who would want her now? Nathan was still talking. "And if you have a problem with a mother trying to have dinner with a baby who isn't bothering anyone, then maybe your standards need some work." Gregory's face had gone tight. Cold. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask both of you to leave." "Fine." Nathan pulled out his wallet. "We'll leave, but I want your name, your manager's name, and your corporate contact because I'm going to make sure everyone knows that this place discriminates against mothers with infants. That's not, and if you even think about touching her wheelchair to escort her out, I promise you, you will regret it." The manager's hand, which had been reaching toward Victoria's chair, froze. "I wasn't going to." "Yes, you were." Silence. The entire restaurant was watching now. Gregory stepped back. "I'll have someone bring your bill." "There is no bill. We didn't order anything." "You saw to that." The manager walked away fast, like he couldn't get far enough from Nathan's glare. Victoria sat there, heart pounding, watching the man across from her slowly unclench his fists. "Sorry," Nathan said. "I don't usually lose my temper like that." "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. You don't even know me. I know enough." He sat back down, then laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "God, what a disaster. I'm so sorry. This was supposed to be a nice dinner. It's not your fault." "I know a place," he said suddenly. "Terrible lighting, sticky menus. A waitress named Dot who's been working there since approximately the dinosaur era. But she gives free refills on milkshakes, and nobody will look at you twice." Victoria hesitated. "You want to continue this date after all that?" "After all that?" Nathan's eyes met hers. "Lady, you walked into this place with a baby on your chest, wheeled past 50 judgmental strangers, and still managed to make me laugh. I don't want to end this date. I want to see where this goes." Sophie stirred against Victoria's chest, made a small sound. She looked down at her daughter, then up at this man she'd known for 15 minutes who had just upended everything she thought she knew about people. "Okay," she said, "but I'm buying my own milkshake." Nathan smiled. Deal? The diner was exactly as bad as Nathan had promised. Cracked vinyl booths, fluorescent lights that buzzed like angry insects, a jukebox in the corner playing Patsy Cline at a volume that suggested the speaker was dying. It was perfect. 70s, silver hair, eyeshadow blue enough to be visible from space, took one look at Victoria's wheelchair and Sophie's carrier and said, "Corner booth's got the most room, honey. I'll bring the high chair just in case the little one wakes up." They settled into the booth, Victoria positioning herself at the end where her chair fit perfectly, and Sophie miraculously kept sleeping. "So," Nathan said, sliding into the seat across from her, "tell me the real story." "The real story? CEO, tech company, baby, wheelchair. That's a lot for the first 8 bullet points. What's the actual story?" Victoria felt the familiar walls going up, the automatic deflection. Don't show weakness. Don't give them ammunition. But something about Nathan's face, the openness in his expression, the way he was leaning forward like he actually wanted to know, made her pause. "Car accident," she said. 5 years ago. Drunk driver ran a red light. And the baby? Sophie was unexpected. She smiled, but it was complicated. Her father didn't want her. Or me. Once he realized I wasn't going to recover like he'd hoped. Nathan's jaw tightened. He left because of the wheelchair? He left because of what the wheelchair meant, that I was always going to be this way, that our life was never going to be what he pictured, that I was always going to need help, accommodations, modifications. He said he didn't sign up for that. Then he's a coward and an idiot. Victoria looked at him. "You say that very confidently for someone who just met me. I say that because I know what it means to sign up for something." Nathan's voice went quiet. Mia was sick for 2 years. At the end, she couldn't do anything for herself. I was her caretaker. I was her nurse. I was her everything. He paused. And I would have done it for 50 more years if she'd let me. The words hung in the air. Victoria felt her throat tighten. "That's not the same. You chose that after you already loved her. This guy, Sophie's father, he didn't even give me the chance to be loved first. He just saw the chair and decided I wasn't worth the trouble." Nathan shook his head slowly. Then he missed the whole point. "What point?" "That love isn't about convenience. It's about showing up when everything's falling apart and saying, 'I'm not going anywhere.' That's it. That's the whole thing." He picked up a napkin, started folding it without looking at his hands. "Mia told me something right before she died. She said, 'Nathan, the world is full of people looking for reasons to leave. Be the person who finds reasons to stay.'" Victoria felt tears burning behind her eyes. She blinked them back. Dot appeared with 2 chocolate milkshakes the size of her head and 2 burgers that could feed a small army. "Anything else, sweethearts?" "We're good," Nathan said. "Thanks, Dot. You holler if you need me." She shuffled away. Victoria grabbed her milkshake like it was a lifeline. "Okay," she said after a long sip. "Your turn. Tell me the real story." Nathan laughed, but it was heavy. "You already know the big stuff. Mia, cancer, 3 years of being a ghost. What about your son?" His face changed, softened in a way Victoria hadn't seen yet. "Lucas is the only reason I get up in the morning. He's 10. He's brilliant. He's furious with me for spending 3 years feeling sorry for myself, which is why I'm here tonight. He sounds amazing. He is. He's also terrifying. Last week, he made a PowerPoint presentation about why I needed to start dating again. 15 slides, footnotes, a bibliography. Victoria choked on her milkshake. What? I'm not joking. Slide 7 was titled Dad's Mental Health, a declining graph. He printed copies. Oh my God. He gave one to his teacher. I got a very concerned phone call. Victoria was laughing now, really laughing, the kind that made her stomach hurt and her eyes water. Nathan watched her laugh, and something in his expression shifted. You have a good laugh. I didn't expect that. Sophie chose that exact moment to wake up. Her eyes opened, focused on Nathan's face, and she let out a delighted shriek. But Nathan was already waving his hands at the baby, making ridiculous faces. Sophie giggled. Actually giggled. The sound was pure joy. She likes you, Victoria said, stunned. Kids usually do. Adults find me annoying. Kids think I'm hilarious. Nathan lifted Sophie out of the carrier with the ease of someone who'd done this before. He settled the baby on his lap, making a face that was approximately 70% nose and 30% eyebrows. Sophie screamed with laughter, and Victoria sat there watching this man, this stranger, hold her daughter with such natural comfort and felt something dangerous bloom in her chest. Oh no, I'm going to fall in love with him. This is going to ruin everything. Victoria woke up Monday morning to her phone, screaming at 6 in the morning, and the immediate, crushing weight of reality slamming back into her chest. The blind date was over. Real life was waiting. She lay there staring at her ceiling, Sophie still asleep in her crib, and ran through the disaster list in her head. Board meeting at 9. Hostile takeover attempt from Harrison Tech still in progress. 3 investors wavering. And somewhere in all of that, she had to find a new babysitter because the old one had quit last night via text message. Sorry, Victoria. This is too much. Good luck. Her phone buzzed. Nathan. Her first instinct was to ignore it, to let the weekend stay in the weekend where it belonged, to keep this man in a box labeled nice memory and never open it again. But her thumbs were already typing. We're fine. Survived the night. Thank you again for Saturday. 3 dots appeared immediately. Lucas wants to know when he can meet the lady with the cool wheels. His words, not mine. Victoria laughed out loud. The sound startled Sophie, who made a grumpy noise and went back to sleep. She sounds like a handful. She's a complete nightmare, and I love her more than breathing. She's also demanding I invite you to dinner this week. I told her that's too fast. She told me I'm sabotaging my own happiness. She's 10. She sounds smarter than most adults I know. She's terrifying. So, dinner? No pressure. Lucas will do all the talking. I'll just sit there looking uncomfortable. This was a bad idea. She knew it was a bad idea. She had a company to save and a baby to raise and approximately 0 bandwidth for romance. But she kept thinking about the way Nathan had looked at her in that diner, like she was worth seeing. When? Wednesday, 6 o'clock. My place. I make a mean grilled cheese. You're wooing me with grilled cheese? I'm wooing you with honesty. Grilled cheese is all I can cook without setting off the smoke detector. Victoria smiled at her phone like an idiot. Wednesday works. The board meeting was a bloodbath. Victoria wheeled into the conference room at 8:58. Sophie safely deposited with her assistant, Jennifer, who had agreed to emergency babysitting duty for triple her hourly rate. 12 faces turned toward her. 11 of them looked skeptical. 1, her CFO, Daniel Park, looked actively hostile. Victoria, Daniel said, not standing up. Glad you could make it. I'm 2 minutes early, Daniel. Harrison Tech's offer went up. They're at $42 million now. Victoria felt her stomach drop, but kept her face neutral. And the board needs to discuss whether continuing to fight is in the company's best interest. Daniel slid a folder across the table. The investors are nervous. The lawsuit is draining resources, and frankly, some of us are questioning whether leadership is focused enough to navigate this crisis. The implication landed like a slap. Victoria kept her voice steady. Are you questioning my focus, Daniel? I'm questioning whether someone with your personal obligations can give this company what it needs right now." The room went quiet. Victoria felt every eye on her, felt them calculating, weighing, deciding if the woman in the wheelchair with the baby at home was worth betting on. She leaned forward. "Let me be very clear," she said. "I built this company from nothing. I built it while learning to live again after an accident that should have killed me. I built it while pregnant, while abandoned, while everyone I trusted walked away." She paused. "If you think a hostile takeover and a few nervous investors are going to break me, you haven't been paying attention." Silence. Daniel's jaw tightened. The board has a fiduciary duty. The board has a duty to trust the person who's made them all very wealthy over the past 5 years. Victoria looked around the room, meeting each gaze. "We vote on Harrison's offer in 30 days. Until then, I'm still CEO. And I'm not selling." She turned her chair and wheeled out before anyone could respond. In the hallway, she stopped, closed her eyes, let herself shake for exactly 5 seconds. Then she straightened her spine and went back to work. Nathan's house was in a neighborhood with actual sidewalks and trees that weren't dying. Victoria pulled into the driveway, took a breath, and grabbed Sophie from her car seat. Before she could even reach the front door, it flew open. A small tornado came sprinting out. "You're here, Dad. They're here. Is that Sophie? She's so cute. Can I hold her? I'm Lucas. I'm 10. I made the menu. We're having grilled cheese and tomato soup. I wanted to make a salad, but Dad said I wasn't allowed to use the knife, so we have baby carrots instead." "Is that okay? Do you like baby carrots?" Victoria blinked. Yes, I like baby carrots." "Perfect." Lucas grabbed her hand, just grabbed it like they'd known each other forever, and started pulling her toward the house. "Dad's in the kitchen. He's nervous. He kept checking his hair in the mirror." It was really funny. Lucas. Nathan appeared in the doorway, looking mortified. "What did we talk about?" "Not telling Victoria embarrassing things about you." "And what did you just do?" "Told her embarrassing things about you." Lucas grinned. "But Dad, she should know who she's dealing with." Victoria laughed. She couldn't help it. This kid was incredible. "I appreciate the honesty, Lucas." "See, Dad? She appreciates it." Nathan sighed, but he was smiling. "Come inside, before my son shares my entire browser history." The house was warm, lived in. Toys scattered across the living room floor, drawings taped to the walls, a vegetable garden visible through the back window that was more weeds than vegetables. Nothing like Victoria's sterile, perfectly accessible apartment. She loved it immediately. "Accessible bathrooms down the hall if you need it," Nathan said. "I had a ramp guy come yesterday for the front step. I noticed you had to bump up on Saturday and I didn't want, I hope that's okay. I should have asked first. Was that weird?" "That was probably weird." Victoria stared at him. "You installed a ramp?" "Just a small one, removable." "In case you thought it was presumptuous, Nathan, that's the most thoughtful thing anyone's ever done for me." His ears went red. "It's just a ramp. It's not just a ramp." Dinner was chaos in the best possible way. Lucas talked non-stop, asking Victoria questions about everything from her job to her wheelchair to Sophie. "Does she have a dad?" "My mom died. It's okay if her dad died too. We can be a club." Nathan kept apologizing. Victoria kept telling him to stop. "He's perfect," Victoria said, watching Lucas feed Sophie tiny pieces of grilled cheese with surgical precision. "Seriously, he's amazing. He's a lot, so am I." Nathan looked at her. Really, looked. "Yeah, you are." After dinner, Lucas showed Victoria around, which meant Sophie got the full tour of his room, his stuffed animal collection, and the corner he'd set up with a blanket and pillows, for when Sophie needs a nap. "I thought of everything." Victoria watched this 10-year-old boy care for her daughter with such natural tenderness and felt something crack open in her chest. "Lucas, can I ask you something?" "Sure." Your dad told me about your mom. I'm really sorry." Lucas's face changed, softened, grew older somehow. "Thanks. It was really hard. Dad cried a lot. I tried to be strong for him, but sometimes I cried too. That's okay. Crying doesn't mean you're not strong. That's what Mom said before she died." Lucas sat down on his bed, pulling Sophie into his lap. "She told me to take care of Dad. She said he forgets to eat when he's sad, and he watches too much TV, and he needs someone to make him go outside. That sounds like a big job for a little boy." "I'm not that little. I'm almost 11. Lucas paused. "I like you, Victoria. I think you're good for my dad. He smiled more tonight than he has in forever. If you hurt him, I'll be really mad. He's been hurt enough, so you have to promise to be careful with him. Okay?" Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. This child, this fierce, loving, extraordinary child. "I promise," she said. "And Lucas, same goes for you. If I ever do anything that makes you uncomfortable, you tell me. Deal?" Lucas stuck out his hand. "Deal." They shook on it. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of dinners at Nathan's house and lunches at the diner and late-night phone calls that lasted hours. 3 weeks of Lucas teaching Sophie her colors and Nathan making Victoria laugh, and the four of them slowly, carefully building something that looked like a family. 3 weeks of Victoria falling deeper and deeper into something she couldn't control. And then Nathan's in-laws showed up. It was a Thursday afternoon. Victoria was at Nathan's house, working from his kitchen table while Sophie napped in the guest room and Lucas did homework at the counter. Nathan was outside, dealing with a work call. The doorbell rang. Lucas jumped up. "I'll get it." Victoria heard the door open, heard Lucas's voice go flat in a way she'd never heard before. "Grandma? Grandpa? Lucas? Sweetheart, we wanted to surprise you. Dad's outside." "That's fine. We'll wait." "Is he alone?" Silence. "No," Lucas said quietly. "He's not alone." Footsteps approached the kitchen. Victoria straightened in her chair, preparing herself. An older couple appeared in the doorway. The woman was elegant, silver-haired, with sharp eyes that took in every detail of the room in one sweep. The man was tall and weathered, with Nathan's jaw and an expression that gave nothing away. Their eyes landed on Victoria, on her wheelchair. The woman's smile flickered, recovered, hardened. "Oh," she said, "you must be a friend of Nathan's." "Victoria Ashford." She extended her hand. "You must be Mia's parents." "It's nice to meet you." The woman, Diane, took her hand briefly, limply, like she was afraid of catching something. "Yes, we're family." The emphasis on that last word landed like a punch. Nathan came through the back door, phone still in hand, and froze when he saw his in-laws. "Frank. Diane. I didn't know you were coming. We wanted to surprise Lucas." Frank's voice was cool. "And apparently we succeeded." Nathan moved to Victoria's side, a small gesture of solidarity that didn't go unnoticed. "Victoria, this is Frank and Diane Harris, Mia's parents." "Frank, Diane, this is Victoria. We're seeing each other." The silence that followed was deafening. Diane's eyes moved from Victoria's face to her wheelchair, to the diaper bag on the counter, to Lucas standing stiffly by the refrigerator. "I see," she said finally. "How nice." Victoria recognized that tone. She'd heard it 1,000 times. From doctors who thought she was wasting their time, from investors who thought she was a charity case, from Sophie's father the day he left. "You're not what I expected. You're not what I wanted. You're not enough." "Nathan, can we speak privately?" Frank asked. "Whatever you want to say, you can say in front of Victoria. I don't think that's appropriate, and I don't think showing up unannounced and being rude to my girlfriend is appropriate. But here we are." Diane's face flushed. "Nathan, we're just concerned about Lucas, about this family, about decisions being made too quickly without considering the consequences." What consequences? Diane glanced at Victoria, then away. You know what I mean. Victoria felt the words like physical blows, but she kept her face neutral. She'd had practice, years of practice. I should go, she said quietly. Nathan followed her outside, closing the door behind them. Victoria, I'm so sorry, don't apologize. They're protecting their daughter's memory. I understand. She looked up at him. Nathan, they're not wrong to be worried. This is fast, and I come with a lot of complications. I don't care about complications. Call me after they leave. We need to talk. That night, Nathan called. They left. I asked them to leave. His voice was rough, angry, hurt. They said I'm not thinking clearly, that I'm looking for someone to replace Mia, that you're taking advantage of my grief, that Lucas needs stability, not a disabled woman with a baby. Victoria closed her eyes. Nathan, maybe they're right. They're not. You barely know me. I know enough. Tell me everything. The complications, the accommodations, all of it. Because I'm not going anywhere, Victoria. And if you think Frank and Diane Harris are going to scare me off, you don't know me at all. She felt tears spilling over now. Couldn't stop them. Why? Why do you keep fighting for this? Because Sophie makes me feel like I have a purpose again. Because when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to be alive instead of just surviving. He paused. Because I love you, Victoria, and I know it's too soon, and I know it's crazy, and I know I'm supposed to say it differently, better, but I can't help it. I love you. Victoria couldn't breathe. I'm scared. I know. I'm really, really scared. I know. I love you too. The words came out broken, terrified, true. I love you too, and it terrifies me, and I don't know what to do with it. You don't have to do anything. Just don't run away. Please. I'm not running. Promise. I promise. 2 weeks later, Daniel made his move. He called an emergency board meeting without Victoria's knowledge, presenting a motion to accept Harrison Tech's offer and remove Victoria as CEO. She found out from Jennifer, who burst into her office, white-faced and panicking. They're voting right now. Conference room B. They didn't tell you. Victoria was already wheeling toward the door. She burst into the conference room to find 12 faces staring at her. Daniel stood at the head of the table, a satisfied smirk on his face. Victoria, we weren't expecting you. I noticed. She wheeled to her place at the table, heart pounding. What's going on, Daniel? The board has concerns about leadership stability. Given recent personal developments, we felt it was time to discuss the company's future. Victoria looked around the table. Let me be clear. My personal life is none of this board's business. My performance, however, is. And my performance speaks for itself. Revenue up 34% this quarter, 2 new patents filed. Client retention at 97%. She turned to the rest of the board. There's something else the board should know. For the past 6 months, someone on this board has been feeding confidential information to Harrison Tech, information about our strategy, our weaknesses, our internal conflicts. She pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. Daniel Park has been in contact with Harrison Tech's CEO since February. I have the emails, the phone records, the paper trail. The room erupted. Daniel stood up. This is ridiculous. She's lying. I'm not lying. It's all here. Every meeting, every leaked document, every promise Harrison made you in exchange for destroying this company from the inside. Security was already moving toward Daniel. You can't do this, Daniel snarled. You're just a cripple with a chip on your shoulder. No. Victoria's voice was steel. I'm the CEO of a company you tried to destroy. And I'm the woman who caught you. She turned to the board. I move to remove Daniel Park from his position and pursue legal action for breach of fiduciary duty. Seconded, Margaret said immediately. The vote was unanimous. As security escorted Daniel out, Victoria addressed the room one final time. This company is not for sale. Not today. Not ever. I've been fighting my whole life. And I'm not stopping now. Nathan was waiting for her in the lobby when she came out. Lucas bouncing beside him, Sophie in his arms. "How'd it go?" Nathan asked. Victoria smiled. "We won. I knew you would." Lucas pumped his fist. "You're a superhero. Like, actually. I'm just stubborn. Same thing." Victoria texted Nathan the next day. "Can you meet me tomorrow?" "At the cemetery." His response came instantly. "What time?" "Noon. I'll be there." She drove to the cemetery the next day with Sophie in the back seat and hope in her heart. Nathan was already there when she arrived, standing alone near a grave under an old oak tree. He turned when he heard her car. She parked, got Sophie out of her car seat, and wheeled toward him. "Hi," Nathan said. "Hi. I wasn't sure you'd come." "I wasn't sure either." Nathan looked at the grave, then back at her. "This is Mia. I thought maybe you should meet her properly." Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. "Nathan, I know it's weird, but Mia was the most important person in my life for 15 years. And you're becoming you are. I need you to know her. I need her to know you. Does that make sense?" "Yes, it makes perfect sense." She wheeled closer to the headstone. "Read the inscription. Mia Rose Cole, beloved wife and mother. She loved with her whole heart." "She sounds wonderful," Victoria whispered. She was. Nathan knelt beside the grave. "Mia, this is Victoria. She's someone I care about very much. She's strong and stubborn, and she fights like hell for the people she loves. I think you'd like her." Victoria felt tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm sorry I never got to meet you. I hear you were incredible. She told me something before she died," Nathan said. "Nathan, don't spend the rest of your life grieving for the one you lost. Spend it loving the ones who are still here. I've been trying to figure out what that means for 3 years, and then I met you, and I understood." He took her hand. "I'm not trying to replace Mia. Nobody could replace her. But I have room in my heart for more love. So does Lucas. And I think Mia would want that for us." Sophie reached out from her lap, grabbing at Nathan's shirt. "Nana." Nathan laughed. A wet sound. "She's saying my name. She's trying to." Nathan knelt in front of her wheelchair, putting himself at her eye level. "I've watched you these past weeks, how you love Sophie, how you fight every day just to live with dignity, how you refuse to let anyone tell you what you can't do. You're the strongest person I've ever met, and I don't want to be scared anymore. I want to be with you, really with you. You and Sophie and Lucas and whatever messy, complicated, beautiful thing we can build together." Victoria was crying now, really crying. "I want that too. I want it so much it terrifies me. Then let's be terrified together. Let's figure it out as we go." "Okay." Victoria laughed through her tears. "I'll take it. I'll take you and Lucas and this family. All of it." Nathan pulled her into his arms, wheelchair and all. Sophie squished between them and laughing at the sudden chaos. "I love you," Nathan said against her hair. "God, I love you so much. I love you too." She pulled back. "Now take me home. Our son is probably destroying something." Nathan's face split into a grin. "Our son." I like the sound of that. 2 months later, Victoria's physical therapist recommended a new treatment option. Experimental. Expensive. Potentially risky. It might improve her mobility. Not walking, never walking again, but better control, less pain, more independence. The treatment would require 2 months in a specialized facility in Boston. 2 months away from the company, from Sophie, from Nathan and Lucas. She told Nathan on a Thursday night, after Lucas was in bed and Sophie was asleep. "There's a treatment in Boston. Experimental. It could help with my mobility." "That sounds amazing. It's 2 months in Boston. Away from everyone." Nathan was quiet for a moment. Victoria, if there's a chance this could help you, you have to take it. Win or lose, I'll be here. You promise? I promise. She left for Boston in October. Saying goodbye was harder than she'd expected. Sophie clung to her, crying, not understanding why Mommy was leaving. Lucas hugged her so tight she couldn't breathe and whispered, "Come back stronger, okay? And call every day and send pictures." "I will," Victoria promised. "I'll call every day. You better." Nathan drove her to the airport. At the gate, he cooped her face in his hands and kissed her forehead. 2 months, he said. 2 months. I love you too. Now go fix yourself so you can come home and marry me." Victoria's heart stopped. "What?" Nathan smiled. "You heard me. Go to Boston, do the treatment, come home, marry me." He kissed her again, soft and quick. "That's the plan. Any objections? That's not how proposals work. It is now." "Objections?" Victoria was laughing and crying at the same time. "No. No objections." "Good. Now go. Your flight's boarding." She went. The treatment was brutal. 8 hours a day of physical therapy, nerve stimulation, muscle retraining. Some days she wanted to quit. She'd lie in her hospital bed at night, muscles screaming, and think about how easy it would be to go home. Then her phone would ring. "Mommy?" Sophie's voice, tinny through the speaker. "Miss you. I miss you too, baby. When come home?" "Soon. Soon. I promise." Nathan called every night without fail. Sometimes they talked for hours. Sometimes just a few minutes when exhaustion claimed her, but he always called. Lucas sent care packages every week, drawings from Sophie, letters from himself, photos of the family doing ordinary things. Week 4 brought the first breakthrough. Something clicked. Her body responded in a way it hadn't in years. "It's working," she whispered. "It's working." She flew home on a cold November morning. Nathan was waiting at the airport with Sophie in his arms and Lucas bouncing beside him, holding a sign that said, "Welcome home, Mom," in glittery letters. Victoria stopped when she saw it. "Mom." "Not Victoria, not your girlfriend, not the lady with the wheelchair. Mom." Lucas saw her face and suddenly looked uncertain. "Is that okay? I can change it. I just thought you're basically my mom now, right? You live with us, and you take care of me, and you love me, and I love you." So, Victoria wheeled toward him as fast as she could, pulled Lucas into a hug, and held on tight. "It's perfect," she whispered. "It's absolutely perfect. You're squishing me. I don't care. I can't breathe. Deal with it." Nathan laughed and wrapped his arms around both of them, Sophie squealing with delight at being included in the group hug. "Welcome home," Nathan said against her hair. "I'm home," Victoria said. "I'm finally home." Nathan pulled back, looked at her with that warm, tired, beautiful smile she'd missed so much. "I said something at the airport. Before you left. Do you remember? You said go to Boston, do the treatment, come home, marry me." "So?" Nathan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "Victoria Ashford. You are stubborn and proud. You fought your way back from impossible things. You made me believe in second chances. You gave my son a mother again. You gave me a reason to wake up every morning." He opened the box, revealing a simple diamond ring. Victoria looked at him, at Lucas, bouncing with excitement, at Sophie, oblivious but happy, at this family that had somehow become hers. "Yes," she said. "God, yes." Nathan slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her, and Lucas screamed. She said yes, loud enough to wake the entire airport, and Sophie yelled yes, 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 because she'd learned to copy her brother. They got married in the spring. Not a big wedding. Neither of them wanted that. Just family and close friends in Nathan's backyard, surrounded by the garden he'd built for Victoria. accessible pathways, raised flower beds, wind chimes that sang in the breeze. Lucas was the best man. He wore a suit he'd picked out himself and gave a speech that made everyone cry. "My mom died when I was 7, Lucas said, standing on a chair so everyone could see him. And I thought that was it. I thought I'd never have a mom again. But then Victoria came. And she didn't try to replace my mom. She just loved me. She loved me even when I was annoying. She loved my dad even when he was being a grumpy potato. I used to think families were something you were born into. Now I know families are something you build. We built this family, and it's the best thing I've ever made." He sat down to thunderous applause. Victoria reached over and squeezed his hand. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too, Mom." The words still hit her like a gift, every time. Victoria's vows were simple. "Nathan, you saw me at my worst, apologizing for existing, apologizing for my wheelchair, for my baby, for taking up space in a world that wasn't designed for me, and you looked at me like I was worth seeing. You taught me that I'm not too much, that I'm exactly enough, that my daughter isn't a burden, and neither am I. You gave me a home when I'd forgotten what that word meant. I will spend the rest of my life being grateful for the night you walked me out of that restaurant, and I will spend the rest of my life loving you." Nathan's vows were shorter. "I promised Mia I wouldn't stop living. I broke that promise for 3 years. Then I met you, and I remembered what living actually feels like. You taught me that loving again isn't betraying the past. It's honoring it. Mia gave me Lucas. You gave me hope. Together, you gave me a future. I love you, Victoria. Forever." "Forever," Victoria repeated. They kissed. And Lucas cheered, and Sophie threw flower petals everywhere, and the sun broke through the clouds like a blessing. Frank and Diane were there. They'd come around, eventually, had apologized, sincerely, for their behavior. Had asked to be part of this new family Victoria was building. They came for dinner every other Sunday now. That night, after the reception, after the guests had gone home and the kids were asleep, Nathan and Victoria sat on their porch watching the stars. "We did it," Nathan said. "We did. We're married." "We are. You're stuck with me now." Victoria laughed. "I think you're stuck with me. I'm okay with that." Nathan pulled her close. "I'm very okay with that." Somewhere inside the house, Sophie called out in her sleep. Lucas's voice drifted down, soft and reassuring. "It's okay, Sophie. I've got you." And Victoria thought about how far she'd come, from a woman apologizing for existing to a woman with a family who loved her. From a CEO fighting alone to a wife with a partner who stood beside her. From a mother who wondered if she was enough to a mother who knew she was. Life wasn't perfect. It never would be. There would be hard days and setbacks and moments when she doubted everything. But she wasn't alone anymore. She had Nathan. She had Lucas. She had Sophie. She had a home. Victoria Ashford Cole had spent her whole life apologizing for who she was. She would never apologize again. She was exactly enough. She had always been enough. Sometimes love doesn't begin with romance. Sometimes it begins with "I'm sorry" and ends with "I'm home."